Hi, and welcome to Design for Social Innovation and Sustainable Community 2022. Thank you for joining this special celebration of creativities, ideas, and thoughts with us at the Design for Social Innovation and Sustainable Community 2022, DSISC. I'm Alif Akmal from the College Creative Arts University Technology Mara, Malaysia, and I'll be your host for today. Dearest friends, now through a digital platform like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, the SISC are able to unite thoughts, ideas, and grow our connection among audience and great industrial players. If you have any question, do drop them down on the comment box below. If you don't know who Mr. Syafiq is, please allow me to introduce him. I'm all the way from the mind, ears, and eyes of Syafiq Abdul Samat. Feast your eyes on the artistic genius of the Noise Impressionist. Volume notes from surroundings and emotion drove his creative aptitude and artistic flair, which is seen in the clever placement of his unorthodox materials. His art concepts are frequently constructed after his algorithm visions, employing noise as component or variables to influence the productions of the intended visual. He has participated in numerous exhibitions, including graphic in reality at Balai Seni Pulau Pinang and Young Malaysian Artist New Object 2 at Gallery Petronas. Before we begin, let us show you the short montage. So enjoy the short montage. Honorable guests, without further ado, let us welcome Mr. Syafiq Abdul Samat to the platform with his topic, Hingarmera, the Noise Impressionist. Hi, Mr. Syafiq.
Hi, Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum, Mr. Syafiq. How are you doing today?
Hi, fine.
So thank you for joining us for the webinar session today. So
okay, yeah. Thank you for the invite.
So Mr. Syafiq, before we started the webinar, so I just go through all your videos and everything. So for me, it's kind of interesting because I also have some backgrounds in music recording. So according to the waveforms, so that I understand that you're not only focusing, let's say the waveform, but you're only focusing the waveform and also the image that you want to convey. So
yeah.
So that's the thing that I understand. So let's say, I think, can we say related to the music or whatsoever, because like what let's say I say that for me, when you see the graph waveform is too picking, I mean that the waveform is too loud from my understanding. I think
yeah,
so after Mr. Syafiq, can we start the? Can you show the?
Slide.
Yes, the slide.
Yeah.
The
okay.
slide.
Okay. All right. Okay. Has it started? Oh, has it started? The close screen. Okay. All right. Okay. So, Assalamualaikum. Good evening, and thank you for to the organizers for inviting me for this talk. My name is Syafiq Abdul Samat. So, basically, the term noise impressionist is basically kind of an art style that I produce using tools that I've learned during my days as a multimedia designer lah. Okay, so basically I was trained as a multimedia designer using animations, interactive, and sound editing and video editing for clients' works. Okay, can you go for the next slide? Right. Yeah. Okay, next. Yeah. Okay. So, so I was trained to be a designer, and using my tools, I have to be quite precise. I have to be basically almost to be quite skillful with their tools in delivering their clients' design. Okay, so because we are acting as a problem solver for the client. So if the clients want animation, so you have to figure out what is the best way, what is the best tool and technique on producing the ideas that they want to convey. All right. So, however, during those days being a designer, I love doing my work being as a it was back then was an animator for this one CBT project. So I really love the work actually, producing some animations for technical learning and so on. But then after a certain time, after repetitions of doing this design work, so my interests are beginning to fade and starting to become sort of a burden. So I decided to how should I say do something so that my main interests won't lost or stop. So I often take some time to go to some private places, let's say public garden or lake or even malls, and stood there and observe everything that is happening around me. So next slide. Okay. So by doing that, I've learned how to train myself. I have to stop being too much in control, because being a designer, you have to be in total control of your tool. You have to be precise of what color, of what frames, of what lines that you're doing. So it becomes sort of kind of very demanding on my mind and soul. So when I go to this place and I start to learn to observe people, and I realize that there are things that I can't control. There are situations that I want to tell people to do what I want, but turns out I don't have the authority to do so. And due to that, I learned to be in peace with these things that are going beyond my control. Okay, people are working towards to their direction that they want to do, to go dressing with clothes that they want to wear, talking or singing whatever they want to do, and I learned to accept that. Okay, so hence the interest with noise. Okay, so next. Okay, next. Right, so yeah, so white noise, as I mentioned there, it's random, chaotic, and unpredictable. So the most simplest example that what we can refer to is the noise that you often see when you switch on the TV, when there are no channels during the analog TV. So that kind of noise, very random. So very random. So all these things are moving beyond your prediction. It's happening within that zone, but you can't really predict where it's going to happen. What's going to happen next? Okay, so that's I start to enjoy being this appreciating things that are going random around me. Next. Okay, so back in 2010, my senior Maisol, so decided to have a group show. Okay, he invited all of his friends and juniors that were based on designer. So when we talk designer, we are talking about illustrator, doing web, doing animations, doing interactive, so on. So, and he asked me, Fik, try to do an artwork, which is a problem because I was trained to become a designer. I was supposed to solve a client's problem. But then I figured out why not I took some of my experiments. And the one that you're seeing right here is actually drawing app. Okay, they have made using, back then it was called Adobe Flash. And it was actually using cameras to capture light, or in this case, visual, and sound as a variable to control the visual size. So the louder the volume, the bigger the ink. So the quieter means smaller brush. Okay, so I was using it as an ink, and I control it using mouse and make some strokes, and this is what happens. But then I decided this is not appreciating the environment. This is basically I'm still in control of what and where the environment is going to be put at. So I decided to make it autonomous. So hence using Adobe Flash to SMScript actually to make generative artwork using this environment of light and sound as variable to be part of this canvas that I made. Next. Sorry. Yeah. So that was the paint method. Okay, next. Yes, yes, it got the sound and light. Okay, and next. Yeah. So it's predictable because I can control the composition. I can control where the cameras are supposed to facing the light colors or the darker tones. So basically, I'm painting the light with my own intention, and I guess it's kind of being a painter by using environment. So I decided to let it let it become autonomous and run by itself. Okay, so next. So comes the project of Hingarmera. Okay, so Hingarmera basically Malay word for next. Okay, which represent noise. We sing Kedah, northern side we call it hingak. Okay, next. And then next one. And camera. Okay, so the word hingar and camera join together, then you got you're gonna get apa Hingarmera lah. So it's project of combining noise and light. Okay, and using that as an input for my artwork. Okay, next. All right. So this is the first Hingarmera. This autonomous autonomous in terms of the placement of the ink is by the code itself. So, but however, the ink and the colors will be generated by whatever that cross the camera lah. So I will place the webcam maybe outside of my room or at my or lobby of my faculty, or even inside my car. I would place it next to my window, and whatever that crosses the camera will become part of the input of the generated images. Next. Okay. Right. So. Okay, so as you can see, there is a small feedback video. Okay, as I'm talking, and the camera is using colors from that feedback. Okay, the colors from my skin, color from my background as ink for that visual. Okay, and my voice will become the affect the size of the ink. Right. Okay, so okay, next. Okay, so okay, next. All right. So the thing is, when I started producing the Hingarmera project, I don't really have this proper training as a fine artist. Meaning, playing with visual meaning and as in conceptual thing. So I'm not really trained on that. So I was really figuring out what's the best way to present this idea. So so on the first early Hingarmera project, I was referring it as a paragraph method, meaning it's like reading lines of inside an essay. So you're gonna go left to right, left to right, left to right, depending on the code. So sometimes it goes left to right, sometimes it goes right to left. Okay, so each line represent a statement of the environment. So recorded visually and representing in representing audio in that form lah. Okay, so next. Okay, so this one was one of the work exhibited at the Balai Sedi Lukis Negeri Pulau Pinang. So this one was 6x2. Okay, some about that size lah. Okay, the one behind me. So this the one behind me was just is another variation of the artwork. So this one the whole generative process. What I did was I put my laptop and my webcam inside my car. Okay, I put the webcam next to my window and I would drove along the city that I live in. Okay, so all the city lights or the moving vehicles are all compressed inside that slice of time lah. Okay, so it was printed in 6x2. Okay, and it's very condensed. It was very condensed, and people were trying to figure out what is actually happening. There's too much layers in that part. But then there was still some of my early experiment, because I'm still searching what's the best way to represent this narration of environment around me. Next. Yes, this one another one. This one I was driving somewhere around Mabuk. Okay, so I still noticed a lot of greenish and purplish environment. It was quite cloudy that day. All right. Okay, next. All right. Okay, so it's a close up. Okay, next. All right. So another experiment I did was using a spiral version. Next. Okay, next. And I got this one. Okay, so kind of similar like visualization that you see on some audio players. But thing is, all the colors and the form were not from music, but from the environment around me lah. And spiral, in a sense, that is a sort of representation of time in clock. So it's gonna overlap minute by minute by minute by minute. Next. Okay. This is one of them, of the projects. Okay, another one. Okay, so this one was took during sunset. Okay, and the sky was bluish, purplish, and at some point the sun somehow passed through the clouds, and as you can see, there was this some yellowish, orangish color. So that was the color that came from the environment. So I'm not putting the colors, but the environment is the the part of the direction. Okay, next. Okay, so after that I decided, okay, maybe I should make it a little bit more clearer. So rather than overlapping in lines or in spiral methods, I decided why not make it in singular continuous line. So I produced another code, so it would make in one canvas. So it would scan at one duration, and to the end, it's going to snap, and then continue again from the side. Okay, and then make another one and continue. All right. So so it's basically it's going to be a very long series of continuous audio narration. Continue. Okay, so this is one of the sample. This one also actually took about, I think, about four pieces. Okay, as you can see, the images is much more clearer. And now basically the definition of the lines is much more recognizable. There are some greenery, there are some bluish sky in there, and some pixelated objects towards the middle. Okay, so next part, the video. Okay, play. All right. So this one was printed in A3. This one was some of the experiment during my masters. Okay. So yeah, there's continuous line. Okay, and if we look closely, there are pictures inside. It's like a scanner, but influenced by sound. It's like a scanner, but influenced by sound. Right, so it becomes a long story of what happening during my journey lah. Okay, so that was my studio during my masters, and those two TVs were another iteration of my Hingarmera. I was using that's what you call touch designer. Okay, right. Right, as you can see, it's responding to my movement. Right, so that's the button. Okay, next. All right, so that's the setup, right? The final setup. Okay, so a little bit before I will continue the video. So those two screens actually, one side is actually generating the spiral pattern. Okay, and on top of the TV, there is a webcam that is facing the TV on the right. Okay, which is touch design program, which actually using lights, using visual to generate sound. So on the right, it is generating sound based on lights, and that sound will be received back by the TV on the left to generate the pattern. So basically, these two TVs, one generating sound, one generating visual, they are sort of talking. And the two units were intended to be placed at a certain distance so that people would cross the space and become part of the conversation. So when they cross the view of the webcam, so the color, the appearance of the audience will affect the sound, and the lights, which also gonna change the audio and the visual. Play. Alright, so then the visual using my phone editor. When I cross, the sound will be slightly different. Next. Okay. So yeah, next. All right. Okay. So as on mentioned on screen, during my process of finding a proper way to represent Hingarmera, initially it was kind of a tool that I use by my own, meaning I will point where the camera will gonna look, and that will also become part of the drawing, which means I'm still become the painter. I mean, I am still in control of the artwork. Okay, so during some of the trials that I did, okay, I've noticed that it's quite interesting how people interact with this tool. Rather than I become the designer that design the what kind of feedback that comes into the webcam, I decided why not let the people around me be the painter, be the the factors that contribute to the final part. So initially, this I'm going to show you some of the experiment that I did during the early days. Next. Okay. Next. Yeah. Next. Okay. Next. I play the student video.
Jangan lupa tekan silpa. Oh, feedback. Di talk show.
Okay.
Kawan kita yang bernama Cho
Right. So interestingly, what I did during class, I've instructed the student. I told them that okay, this program will actually capture light and sound. So whatever you feed will become the ink. But whenever they were they were given the authority to use that app to draw, to make the visual. So unintendedly, the whole class become active. The whole class become very noisy, very loud. So they were trying their hard, their best. Okay, so to make the artwork. So suddenly I realized it was much more interesting to let people be creative with Hingarmera. So this is another one that was presented at exhibited at MIA, Malaysia Institute of Art. Okay, so this one was the Safari version. Okay, play. Okay, right, next. Okay, so as we can see in the video, they were trying all the whatever method that they can, so that whatever action that they're doing will become part of the painting. So although the pattern looks quite similar, but the process of making that patterns is what makes it more interesting. So I decided to go back with the code as very minute, and rather than let it be repetition of that similar placement, I decided why not let the spiral move around. Okay, let the rotation, the ink move around, as in expressionist kind of look, but not controlled by me, but by the code's own random pattern. Okay, so the placement of the ink itself was not controlled by me, it was moving by its own. Okay, so hence this kind of sabot look, but if you look closely, there were patterns, waveform inside the work. Next. Okay, another variation. Okay, next. Okay, so I've decided to combine this with the previous the twin TV setup. Okay, so initially it was called kedai kopi because like when you will go to the coffee shop, people were talking, and whenever somebody would join in, and then the conversation would evolve. So I decided rather than using that touch designer as visual input, um, um, uh, I've changed it into this one mirror box. Basically, it's a one-way mirror. One-way mirror, meaning there is a camera behind mirror that will capture audience that were looking at that mirror. Okay, so and then on the screen, I've used that Hingarmera code to generate the visual. Okay, so the visual and the mirror was actually interacting, but then the audience will interrupt the generative process. Okay, continue. Oh, tadi boleh play tadi, tak apa. Okay. Right, there was a video, yeah. Okay, this one was at Galipernas YMA yang Malaysia ni yeah. So that's the generative process. Okay, so so that's the mirror. So supposedly the box was supposed to be closed. Okay. Okay, next. All right. So again, the box was supposed to be closed, but then due to the heat that was produced by the laptop inside the box, so the code the computer often shut down due to overheat, since everything was inside that box. So we had to open. Okay. Showing the inside part of the mirror to the audience lah. Okay, alright, next. Okay, so the next part was suri tenaga, but okay, so for this one, same concept in Hingarmera, but I decided make it the brush some rules. If the audio is if the sound, the audio, the incoming audio is within a certain threshold, the brush will have a certain look. But if it over a certain threshold, then the pattern will be different. Okay, so this combination of looks. Okay, so the lower sound and the harsh, louder volume sound will create interesting interaction between silence and loud. So next video. Next page. Okay, so this is the process. Okay, this is some testing I've made. Play. Pardon the audio. Okay, right, next. Okay, so the center part, okay, represent the calmness. So if the audio is within the threshold that you are comfortable, then you'll be much more relaxed, much more in control. But then if it's too loud, everything start to become chaos. Everything start to become very reactive and chaotic. Okay, so this combination of these two state of environment noise contributes to this output lah. Okay, so yeah. Okay, this one was a snapshot. Okay, within 5 minutes, because on the next minute it was changing. Depending on whatever is in front of the webcam lah. Okay, next. Okay, so another version. Okay, and on this part, it started to look more like an painting due to the colors overlapping with lines and stroke and different placement of colors and shapes. Okay, next. Okay, so rather than let the circular pattern static on one side, I decided why not make it move around. So hence this kind of paintbrush kind of look. Okay, all was done using ActionScript. So I'm just when we're creating generative art, I'm only responsible on the initial part. Okay, I create the code. I have a certain kind of ideas of how it might gonna look, but when I start the code, everything is beyond my control lah. So hence I've got this kind of look lah. Okay, so multiple layers of colors and lines overlapping. Okay, so it look like a much more like a painting. Okay, next. Okay, another one. Okay, so again, overlapping of shapes and colors and lines. Next. Right. Okay. Next. Okay, next. Okay. So after a while, I decided to expand the method of generating the shape and form. Okay, so rather than using a static point of input, meaning rather than looking at just one point of a single line of colors, so on the Noise Painter, I decided it will try to capture motion. So whatever thing that moves will become the ink. Okay, will become the ink and the stroke of that. The motion will become the stroke. And I did employ some kind of conditional brush. Okay, meaning that if the sound is not too loud, so the line will be smaller, and the louder the sound, the thicker the line. But then if it is too loud, it will create some dots as if you are painting and you are taking too much colors. You dip the brush and taking too much colors and it's gonna drip. So too much volume, hence the point drops on the artwork. Okay, next. Okay, so was the initial proposal. It was made for Georgetown Festival at Penang. Okay, so this was the initial panel. So it was supposed to be a screen on top of this collapsible rack. Okay, on a basically it will collapse into a trolley. And the whole unit of the TV and the battery and camera supposed to be on the single trolley. Okay, so it was supposed to be mobile, meaning I'm not limited by the space inside a gallery. I can bring the Hingarmera outside. So rather than inside, I was intending to bring the Hingarmera outside. So let the audience who are not familiar with this gallery kind of space to be a painter, to become familiar with art. Okay, so next. All right. So that's the basic idea, okay, of how it was supposed to look. And they agreed with this project, so some provided some fund and loaned me a TV for during that exhibition term duration. So next. Okay, so in the end, it becomes this small. Okay, so it becomes this small trolley. We've made the frame based on the TV size and using some wheelbarrow wheel. Okay, and during the fabricating process. By the way, I'm just on this during this fabrication process. All the metalworks were done by the technician in my faculty. Okay, since he's the one much more knowledgeable with all the welding, all the metal fabricating process. So I was more like assisting on what parts should I get. Okay, if I want to make this kind of look, what should I get, and then adjusting the ideas based on, for example, we had to add this handle. Okay, because if the wheel were initial as the plan shown, it was supposed to be 4 wheels, but then it was static, so we were gonna have trouble moving the thing around. So we decided to make it a 3-wheel trolley, and find some handle and put some brakes. And even as you can see, there is some absorber, because we were quite worried. We were worried if when moving around, it might damage the TV lah. Okay, so it was experimenting. Okay, and it became quite interesting lah. So it works as intended. Next part. Okay, so that's the installation of a laptop, a digital display, where it can be custom code placed on a mobile collapsible unit to mimic a classic easel. So it's supposed to mimic a classic easel. Okay, so when it becomes this in full standing mode, it becomes like an easel, but instead of me becoming the painter, this time the audience, the passerby, will become the painter. So they will start to move around and shout and sing and talk. So all of their action will become the artwork. Okay, and this thing, this unit fits inside my my V, so I can bring it around lah. So during that term, I brought it at Padang Kota. Okay, next part. Next. It's supposed to be video, right? Yeah. Okay. So during at the Padang Kota, okay, so there was this group of school children passing around, and my assistant told them, okay, this unit will create visuals based on action and sound, and interestingly, compared to adults, all the kids were uh, in full embracement of these actions. They were shouting, they were singing, becoming fully involved with the artwork creation. Compared to adults, they were more in control, silent, segan-segan, okay, move a little bit, move a little bit here. But compared to children, they were very active. Okay, I'll play the video. Okay. So as you can see, there was this laptop and a car battery on the unit. Okay, and we managed to run the unit about 2 hours something. So and during that creation process, I instruct the code at a certain interval. Make a screenshot. Make a screenshot. Make a screenshot. So. And there were variations of paintings that were made. So it was quite interesting. Rather than you control the brush, why not let audience become part of the your artwork creation process? So next part. This was my Prof. Hasnul. Okay, he also was keen to experiment with this unit. Play. This was at the Penang State Gallery. Okay, so during that time, the battery was out, so we have to use an extension to power the unit. But as you can see, it's not the final artwork that makes the Hingarmera interesting, but it's more towards the process of how I let the audience be part of the artwork. Okay, let them express themselves. Do they want to sing? Do they want to shout? Or so whatever movement they want to do, I don't put any limit. Okay, and knowing that they are part of that visuals make them appreciate making art more. Let them me being as a painter and doing my own kind of expression of or whatever that I think I want to tell. Okay, so next. Okay, so these were some of the screenshots. Okay, all right. So as mentioned before, so silent, low level of audio will make thinner lines, and the louder, the thicker the line will be. And if it's too loud with it after a certain threshold, you're gonna drop the ink. Okay, so yeah, so this is one of the day. Okay, next part. So, all right. So overlay of colors. Okay. Next. Again. Next. All right. Okay. So this one is much more calmer version. So if you if you really in peace and I mean in a very silent environment and you try to control, then you can get this kind of look lah. Okay. But still there are no rules. It is how you want to be part of the artworks will affect the final output. Next. Okay, all right. Okay, so much more complex. Okay, so as you can see, there is a lot of black colors. Mean that the one was interacting with this thing maybe was using some black object to move around. Okay, by the way, I was using some basic motion capture code, so it's not really accurate, but enough for me to apply it for my artwork, so that it will it can create this kind of visual lah. Okay, so next. Okay, next. Okay, so the most recent one was Tambun. Okay, next. Okay, so I've still use the same features like Nose Painter, meaning we will still capture motion, but this time it will not create lines. Instead, we will just collect pigments. Okay, so whatever sound that is happening, so we'll make a drop of ink. So it will become a collection of pigments of colors. Okay, of that environment at that certain time lah. Okay, so it was displayed at 2019 at Ipoh under there was a event by Kaki Seni. What was it? I've forgotten the name. So next part. Next. Okay. So this was the unit lah. Okay. So it was in a small display, okay, in case in that white box. So the whole CPU thing is inside the unit, okay. The camera, however, was mounted on the wall, as you can see on the second picture near the window. So I mounted the camera there, and people will circle around the unit. So they will try to look on whatever angle that they're comfortable with, and each motion will create droplets on top of that lah. And this one, the background was I did some grids on the screen background as a representation of maps. Okay. So, meaning that when people get together in one group and become more and more, so they start to become a community and soon become a place. So, this collection, I know not the word collection, more like a group of people in certain place will become that artwork lah. Okay, hence the name Tambun. So it's overlap Tambun. Okay, and similarly, there was I was using the name Tambun because there were in Ipoh also there's a place called Tambun. So it fits the creation of the artwork lah. Okay, next. Yeah. Okay, so dots of colors. Okay, next. Okay, next. Yeah, okay. So all most of this work took about 30 minutes to create this kind of overlap lah. Okay, so some were dense, some were in certain spots, some were quite far away within each certain region. So it's kind of the idea of a community, of a state, of a country. So people were there on that place and they become the place. Okay, all right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's some of the things that I managed to feed in. Ada lagi, tapi I think it's going to be too much. I already 9:30. Okay, all right.
So,
Okay.
wow, very cool artwork from you, Mr. Syafiq. And I never thought that from the waveform, you can create something like you add on where like you patch the photograph and also like patch the colors and everything. Like I think this is kind of new for me. But you said just now
Okay.
you have done this since 2010, and then I just know about this. Before this, I only know about the waveform. I only know about the waveform, but I never thought that you can put it in
Represent.
something like that. They represent. So like kind of cool for me. I think everybody's will agree that they also new for them. So so from the three, I mean from the waveform and also the photograph and also from the sound. So which one you like want to show the most? I mean like you said you have the element photo, you have the sound like. So which one like you want to represent the waveform like the more? Because sometimes I mean like if you can show the photograph, it will be better. But the waveform we cannot predict what it will showing. So
it's more like as I impressionist. Actually, I just came up with this term, noise impressionist, about 1 or 2 years ago. It's more like an appreciation of what is happening around me. So rather than I instruct the environment to follow what I want, why not I provide a canvas on or maybe installation on what the environment going to see. So it can be waveform, so it can be photos, so it can be like a noise painter and easier like that. So the main ingredient is I'm using this variable of lights and sound. Only that I provide the algorithm on how it will be applied on the canvas. Okay, but then again, so far there is no exact what kind of medium that I really want to focus more like if I oh, what is happening? Why is it becoming green? Hi, I noticed the screen become green.
They want to show some effects.
Oh, okay. Okay. Unintended noise. Unintended noise.
That's also we call it noise.
Yeah. Unintended. Yeah. So yeah, it's an ongoing process, and at the same time also I try to make it more portable. So I did try to convert it into an app so I can fit it in my phone. But then since I'm using ActionScript, so it's not really practical. I mean, it's quite heavy on the processor punya part, and uh, uh, there are some artworks. Okay, there are some artworks that it can produce, but I'm not quite ready yet to release it on the public lah. Okay, but then I can share some of the artwork that it did produce. Hold on, I think I have it here. All right. So basically something like this. All right.
Cool.
All right. Okay. So still ongoing project. So I have to minimize some of the codes so that it is more practical on phone. But then for example, let's say, let me run this part. So right now it is generating the visual. So based on the initial Hingarmera the elevation of Hingarmera. So it is currently recording lah. So whatever I'm showing in front of webcam, so it's going to show lah. But it's still ongoing. I mean, some people might feel might not be might not like this very abstract kind of patterns. But then at the moment, more I'm using it more like a tool for me to capture the environment that I'm in, because I like this state where I go to certain place or maybe a certain location, and I would like to observe. So all the action that happening around them, even at a small warung or a small stall, okay, the interaction of people, the things that are going on, it makes me realize that I'm not supposed. I'm not alone. These people influence me on whatever thing or on my will have impact on my thoughts, on my action that I will took afterward. Okay, meaning that you are not defined by your own, but more like how you contribute to people around you. Okay, so this kind of appreciation of things around me that make me wants to continue in Hingarmera.
So baik so right, Mr. Syafiq, so thank you for everything. So mean that, are you ready for the question? Because
Hopefully.
yes. So so there's some question here. So for the first question, okay. So
Okay.
how does this type of art influence the art world? So what the history that can be related to? Is there any old legend story myths from the ancient time?
What? How many?
Okay. Actually, to make it sure, how does this type of art influence the art world?
Oh, uh, um, locally, it is slowly. Some institute beginning to aware this kind of method of producing artwork using codes rather than traditional medium. Okay, so but then again, it is still a visual artwork. So if you're using sculpture to represent, to show your ideas, then go for sculpture. If you are familiar or skillful with painting to show your ideas, then go with painting. So on my case, I'm trained as a designer. I'm trained with interactive software. I'm trained with audio editing. So these factors are the one that become the tools for my artwork creation. So hence Hingarmera project. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah. That's a question. So thank you for the answering for my first question. So for the second question, okay, what are the benefits and the advantages about this technique to the new media out there?
Oh, it's more like I am contributing more towards the how to employ, how to deploy the code. Because initially when I started to exhibit the first, was joining the first exhibition, one of the main problems is, yes, I can create the code, I can create the visual with my action script, but I have the problem of how to present the idea. Should I print it or should I let it run live? So these factors was not taught to me during my studies. I mean, it was not very common during my study years. So I was still venturing and exploring ways to present this Hingarmera creation, Hingarmera process even to people. Okay, so in hopes that it might trigger, it might inspire people to be part of this generative art kind of movement. I don't really want to say movement. More like if you have the tool that you are comfortable with, then experiment.
Go for it.
Experiment.
Go for it.
Because I don't really want to put rules on how it should supposed to look like. Okay.
Right, cool. So that's mean like whatever you have, just create something beautiful with something that you have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, cool. So this is the question from Facebook from us, Farina. So, what's inspire you to make this type of art? The inspiring.
Initially, it was the intention of not killing my. Oh, sorry. I mean, the word killing is quite harsh. But then, this pressure of being a designer means you are facing things that previously you love. I love doing 3D animation. I love doing animation interactive. But then, it was continuous. It was like bombarded every day, and I was there are times I was quite lucky that I got some boss that will say, okay, Fik, please turn off your computer, go out, play some sport, and then when you're done, okay, then continue work. But then there's a situation where people at the office, there was one time some place that I did work, they will become envy if you go out of office at 5 o'clock. You must work more. Stay at the first up to 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you can go back. Then you are part of them. So this kind of thing that constrain me, makes me want to look an alternative way to stop me from being bored with things that I initially love to do. So hence I decided to turn around and experiment with some codes, or even, as you can see, there was some instrument playing during that part. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, so also same question also from Facebook from Azra Nurin. What was the goal of Noise Impressionist? The goals.
Oh, more like on letting basically it's like taking pictures, but rather than I control the shutter, rather than I control the aperture or so on,
Yeah.
I let the environment be the photographer or the painter. I just only provided the way for the image to be captured. On this case, rather than a photo, I will provide the code to draw. So yeah.
All right, cool. So so this one from Fa from YouTube. So, how will you suggest to the new artists or painters who are going to explore this type of art? What should the beginners do?
Experiment.
Experiment.
I think okay. During the first phase of Hingarmera, one of the method for me to collect visual and light samples, it was quite odd actually. I ran the code on my laptop, put it inside my bag, okay, and while the computer is running, I put the webcam on my shoulder and I walk around. And some of my colleague did mock me because apa kau Syafiq jalan macam robot kan, ada kamera kat sebelah kan. Okay, but at that time I don't really have any source on how should I capture this data. How should I collect this visual light, because I noticed if I were to put it static, then some of the input might not be enough for me to create their work. So I was venturing. So there was time I put the laptop inside my car and I move around the city. In fact, the one that was printed along the wall, I was driving around Merbuk for about 30 minutes. So basically, it tells the story of, okay, during my journey. So I was how should I say the word? What's the word? More like I was I'm looking at these people, like places. All of these influence me to become me. So if you go to a very loud place, then that loudness will affect you. If you go to very silent place, then that silence will influence you. So hence the narration.
So it depends on the surrounding and everything.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. So this is the question from me. So have you collaborate with some artists, let's say maybe some painting artists or maybe some with the photographer? Have you collaborate with them to make it this project more, maybe like have that more of you?
There was a few times more. They requested me more like VJ. Okay, more like a VJ. So they were performing some experimental sound on the stage. So I did provide this some of the combination of Hingarmera pieces. So projected sometimes on the back, sometimes on the ceiling. So this and the best part is the colors that were sampled from Hingarmera were actually from the audience. So if the audience were wearing red, wearing blue, so they become part of the environment since it was projected on the hall on the back. So again, I'm not becoming the one solely control the color, but the audience will also become parts of the visuals.
Alright. So for the next question from YouTube, was asked by Yong. So as interactive arts, digital art have grown more and more popular, is it possible to include interactive art in digital and physical marketing?
Huh? Oh, okay.
Is it possible? Is it possible to include interactive art in digital and physical marketing?
It depends on the direction of the marketing itself lah. Okay, so if the marketing wants that, of course they want interaction, but how interactive they want the marketing to be, it depends on the director lah. So maybe they, for example, let's say you want to make a campaign of, let's say, Merdeka, contoh Merdeka kan. So you want to promote Merdeka. Okay, so you want to promote Saya Anak Malaysia kan. So why not using interactivity? So you make a, let's say, installation of a camera, okay, and it will take snapshot of whatever people looking at that, maybe a certain thing that interests them. So every snapshot will then be compiled to become a certain piece that will become the background of that advertisement. So it depends on the director basically. So yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so this question is also is from me lah. I mean, like since I have the the experience about the sound recording and all that. So I mean, like, do you believe that a good mic and a bad mic can produce some like a difference, different kind of waveform? So
Okay.
right, okay. So all right, do you really think care, or did you really mean that, are you particular in that type of people? Mean like some people, like they have they want to have the good quality mic so that they can get nice waveform. So some people's okay.
Okay, good. I understand what Alif are trying to tell.
Yeah.
Actually, during these years, actually I have already own about 4 webcam already. Okay, so when I say webcam, I mean these are the tools that are responsible to collect lights and sound. So the quality of the tool will affect the artwork. Okay, so then this thing will also become similarly to painters. So do they want to use quality brush? Do they want to use quality colors for their painting? Then go for that part. But then on my case, I will use whatever tool that I think is possible for me. And yes, during one of the spiral mini process, I did try to use this Zoom recorder, so to sample sound, and the fidelity of the waveform really differs from using webcam. So yes, there are variation, there are difference when using a very precise tool compared to normal tool. But then again, it is up to the author or the artist themselves lah. Do they have the budget to or access to that kind of tool lah? Kan? Alright. But then I have to agree lah. There are some impact on the final artwork.
Yeah. If you're using a good quality, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah. There are effects.
So, I mean, like this is, there's some question from YouTube. Right? So, do you think that this type of art is suitable and good for art therapy?
For me, it did. Okay. Yeah, because as you can see, during the Noise Painter video, people were releasing their energy, either in visual or in actions or in sound. And some of my friends who visited some of the installation during at Gallery Petronas, they were shouting inside Gallery Petronas. Okay, which commonly a very premium kind of gallery, but then people shouting because of they want to interact with the artwork. So at some place, at some situation, if it helps to help you release whatever tension that you become that you have inside you, then same as I did. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, so that's a very good feedback, and so from the question from the Facebook from Suhada, for someone who wants to start make it noise impression art, what equipment would you recommend it for beginner? Recommended tools for beginners.
Okay. This one actually it depends on whatever tool you have. Okay. So on my case, I was trained as an interactive designer. So I was using Adobe Flash since 2000. So I was really familiar with the codes and how it behave and so on. Then I decided that is the tool that I will use to make Hingarmera. But nowadays there are a lot more options. As you can see, I was using some of the tool. There was a Touch Designer. Currently the most popular right now is processing. Okay, so it is free. Okay, I highly recommend to those who are interested in making this kind of interactive kind of work. Okay, you can start venture in processing because compared to ActionScript, it is way much easier to draw rectangle using code compared to ActionScript. Much more fewer lines and means you can express much. You can express your idea, your thoughts much faster compared to on one case or using ActionScript. But then again, it depends on whatever tool you can get lah. So processing, there are some what was the code? There is also another code for generating sound. I will see something. I forgot the thing. But then there are people who are using the kind of programming to make artistic ambient noise sound. So it all depends on the tool. So things that I often say to my student, you don't try, you don't know. If you start to try, then you start to learn. And if it captures your interest, go on. Selagi Tuhan tak larang, your parent tak larang, go.
Okay, cool. Alright. So this one, I think, the question from me lah. Okay, I mean, if what do you think if you're working with producer, like they understand about the waveform and everything?
Yeah.
So what do you think if you work with them? Like sometimes they know, oh, this is, let's say let's say the more voice, the wave will look picking. I mean, the
Yeah.
waveform will be big. So for them, maybe it's like it's not good for them. So let's say if the thing is good for you, so how, maybe I don't know, maybe how can you like make the win-win situation? This is like,
Uh,
let's say
okay. Okay. On this case,
yeah,
Hingarmera is becoming a tool to solve client needs. Correct.
okay,
Okay. So
yeah,
in this case, like any waveform, it has a certain shape. It
yeah,
has a certain form.
yeah,
So if the producer has a certain, let's say, a certain track
yeah,
they want to produce. Okay, usually a track will contain drums, keys, vocals, and so on, so on.
yeah,
So maybe I can assign, okay, certain code for a certain particular instrument.
mhm,
Then it won't be rather than a singular Hingarmera of all the instrument, but instead it's going to be multiple forms of representation of the instrument. Okay, so and the ink maybe based on the instrument or maybe the person playing the instrument becomes the visual lah.
okay. So Mr. Kamaro, this is the very last question. Okay, so from Yon Kamaro Facebook, do you use any specific software to produce this kind of artwork? Yeah,
On my case, of course, I'm using currently it is known as Adobe Animate lah. So I'm using ActionScript. However, it is starting to become a little bit of problem lah because currently Adobe is stopping Flash, ActionScript. I mean Flash Player. So some of the features I cannot really apply for my work. So I need to, even I myself are starting to search for other alternatives. So as I mentioned, so some of them were like macam like touch designer, processing. So there are a lot of as in artist friendly coding platform out there. So if you Google around, then you find lah. Okay, some of them were code based, some of them were node based, meaning you just select certain visual representation of the function and you just link the node. Then you will get the result lah. Okay.
oh, that's a very good impact and good. What can I say? The good knowledge and new knowledge for all of us. So thank
I'm
you,
happy to share. I'm
Mr.
happy to
Shaf. Thank you to Mr. Syafiq for sharing this time for us for make it this webinar happen. So we have now come to end of our webinar session with Mr. Syafiq. On behalf of my team and committee, I would like to take this opportunity to extend our gratitude and thanks to all respected lecturers, professors, and the dearest friends for joining our webinar with Mr. Syafiq. So,
Thank you.
all right, be sure to follow us on Instagram at DS. You can find us on DSISC underscore Echo XX11 IIS and our Facebook page for more upcoming events. We have a webinar coming up on the topic NFT after fund fame and what's left on 23rd June 2022 at 10 p.m. 10 a.m. So I'm Oliver Weller. Until then, we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.